connected to system, a computer can be connected to system, but things like shoe, things like refrigerator, things like your weighing scale can be connected to the IoT, and it can give better results for your health and your industrial process automation. Okay. So IoT is called in different names in different companies or different domain. Vehicle to vehicle communication is also one part of IoT, because some vehicles don't communicate in line of sight. They communicate via cloud and then communicate to each other. Internet of Things. Instead of Internet of Things, suppose you are on a ship, like a Titanic ship. Okay, there also devices will be talking to each other, but that will be like an internet. Smart cities. When you talk about smart cities, smart energy, smart grid, all are connected to internet, giving complete control and complete monitoring of the system. Industrial IoT. IoT when used in industries and increase the process automation, increase the efficiency of the building of the things in industry. And then is a separate IoT, also called IoT 4.0. Then G was one of the pioneer in making this industrial internet systems. Machine to machine communication. Like Cisco has a coined term, Internet of Everything, because everything, it may be a human, it may be a machine, it may be a simple object like a shoe, like a refrigerator, maybe a door, maybe a road, maybe a street light. Okay, Internet of Everything, also called embedded internet. So you are embedding internet into the objects, also called web of things. Okay, so different names are there for IoT, which we will come across. So if you think about history of IoT, you might have seen some movies like I Am Robot, or I Robot, or Skynet, which was in Terminator movie. So all these are already giving example of how things, machines will communicate to each other in future. Okay, world size web. Instead of world wide web, we talk about world size web. So now full web is controlling the full world. Okay. So Kevin Ashton was the first person in 1999 to introduce the term IoT. So this is like a trivia question, maybe in some quiz they can ask. Okay. So IoT was there before too. How? What is meaning of IoT? Without physical interface or without going to there, I can read some parameters of some objects. For example, meter. Currently, in my times, Bestcom person will come with a diary. He will note down the meter reading, go to office, calculate everything. Nowadays, everything is done remotely with Bluetooth sensors. Same way, in 1970s, electric grid telephone systems were used to measure the electricity, and then it was used for commercial billing. Then a toaster was invented, and it was displayed in internet conference in 1990, and that was the first IP-based toaster. Okay, so when you put a toaster, it takes some 2 minutes, 3 minutes to make your toast, and you can make it on over internet. Suppose you are in lecture now, you are going to have a break time. So by the time you reach in the canteen, you can enable it. So that kind of things you can do with the toaster in 1990s. You can see um, almost 11, 12 years ago. Now, when you're talking about 20 years ago, and many universities have made small devices in their campuses to demonstrate the power of IoT. Let us see some statistics. So now currently 30 billion devices, not million, billion. 1 billion is 7,000 crore. So 50 billion will be around 2020. Within 1 year, it will cross 50 billion devices. Currently, only 1 to 2% things are connected to internet. That is the case. So you can see how much is the scope to connect many and many things to the internet. Okay. IoT was top 10 in the strategic technologies. Actually, it was in third position after mobile app and mobile devices, just before the clouds. And it was, if you see the market capitalization, or you can see how much money is involved in IoT, like $11.1 trillion market. It was told by one of the best survey firm like McKinsey. Every day we are generating a huge amount of data, around 2 exabytes of data every day we are generating via Facebook, via YouTube, via Instagram. Okay, so 90% of data was created in last 2 years only. You can imagine how exponentially this data is increasing, how exponentially our market of IoT is increasing. As per NESCOM, which is the biggest IT body of India, they told that India is expected to reach $15 billion market in 2021. So That is the power of IoT. That is the requirement of IoT. That is the scope and opportunity in the IoT. See, nearly in Bangalore only, 120 companies were there in last 2 years back, and 70% of them have come just in 4 5 years, and $60 million already invested in these companies. So they are projecting that by 2025, this market will grow from $10 billion, which is current value, to $150 billion. So if you see the service architecture of any IoT, so basically what is happening, first of all, at the bottom, you have sensors. Okay. Maybe your health sensor, maybe agriculture sensor, maybe for car or something. At the bottom level, you have a sensor network. Now this sensor data is going via mobile hotspot or is going via a Wi-Fi gateway. So suppose at home I'll be using Wi-Fi gateway. If I'm doing in some remote area like in my car or like on the move, okay, like a portable thing, then I'll be using a mobile hotspot. Now these fellows will communicate to a GSM or 3G or 4G towers, whereas your Wi-Fi gateway will talk to your fiber LAN or Ethernet gateway control. Finally, it will reach to ISP, and then it will reach to a cloud like AWS cloud. You may use a Microsoft Azure service or IBM services, or like we are going to demonstrate today ThingSpeak services. Now, based on this management service, you can write a model, you can configuration, you can do, you can go for security and all things. Now, what you will do finally with data, you will try to make an application, maybe in healthcare, maybe in environmental, maybe in energy, maybe in people tracking. So based on your sensor, based on your network, final goal is to make an application which will improve the process or which will improve the standard of living. Okay. So before going to IoT application, what IoT helps? So one of the first is upgrading to the digital world. So they say digitization. If you want to digitize something, you can go for IoT, like your notice board. You can make IoT based notice board. So people don't have to remove paper and clip it again, or stick the new papers every monthly or yearly or whatever frequency they were doing. Okay, the notice board, exam notice, fees notice. If you have a digital notice board, IoT enabled, using app only, you can control it. Okay, along with the security also, and along with very regular updates also. Second thing is remote connectivity. Okay, so remote monitoring of the things also is possible with the help of IoT application. And then finally is called business process optimization. Okay, maybe it is an industrial automation, maybe it is a industry process, maybe it is a marketing, sales, any kind of business process you are having or industrial process you are having, it can be optimized with the help of IoT. So we'll see some key areas in which IoT is used. Just to name few are smart cities, smart environment, smart energy, smart agriculture. If your city is well connected, your traffic signals are well connected, your roads are well connected, then you may not have to wait much in traffic signal. It will control based on the density of traffic. If your environment is well connected, anywhere pollution is there, police can see which vehicle is creating more pollution or which industry is making more pollution. They can find them, they can stop them. Smart energy, where the energy uses is there, where the energy wastage is there, all can be done with the help of IoT smart energy systems. Smart agriculture, when to water, how much to water, when is to fertilize, when not to fertilize, what is temperature, okay, whether you want more sun, no sun, you want more shade, more light, all things can be done with smart agriculture IoT system. E-health. Now, as your COVID pandemic has told us, that health is very important. These oximeters are very important. These heartbeat sensors are very important. Oxygen concentrators are very important. All those things, if connected to internet, they can be used judiciously and with the proper efficiency. Retail market, Walmart is the biggest example how they are automated thing using IoT, basically logistics, supply chain management, and billing, also about the inventory management. All those things is very much improved with the help of retail in by using IoT in the retail and logistics field. And then industrial control. If you see in old industries, they were using SCADA cards or power and communication or PLC, power logic control or programmable logic control systems. All this is now slowly getting replaced by IoT systems. So I hope you understand different applications of IoT and applications areas of IoT. So if you see, as we have discussed, IoT healthcare. So if a patient is having all these wearable sensor, and whether he's falling, whether he's walking, is having attack or panic attack, or he's depressed, he's sleeping properly, not sleeping properly, all those data can be again shared with your family members. It can be like your father is somewhere in remote location, you are in US, your parents are here, and he's not eating in time or he's not taking in medicine in time. All things you can see from a mobile app in your working country, and you can take care of your parents remotely. Okay, if any problem happens, emergency vehicle will set automatically, and doctor will be also intimated automatically what is the problem from the sensors data. So if you see, so many companies have already come up with different IoT applications only in health. What this slide is telling is purely about the health. So you can see clinical efficiency, infant monitoring, sleep monitoring, fitness variables, brain sensors, consumer and home monitoring. So this is the thing which is booming because of COVID, the consumer monitoring. Recently only we had a IPO of a company called Nureka, and it was oversubscribed, and the shares are simply running because people are buying oximeters and other health devices at home very frequently and at a very large scale. So, and clinical grade biometric sensors are which is used in hospital, and home grade. Consumer grade and clinical grade, there's a lot of difference and a lot of cost difference. A thing which is clinical grade maybe few lakhs, whereas which is a consumer grade should be portable and very cheap, maybe in few thousands. As I was talking, fridge. It is one of my favorite subject. I always give example of I at home by fridge only, because I know the fridge knows more about you than you know about yourself. What you are eating, your nutritionist, your dietitian, they will not know much. Your fridge will know more. How much chocolate you are eating, how much sugary juice you are drinking, how much this Pepsi or Coca-Cola you're drinking, how much milk you're drinking, how much protein you're taking as an egg. So all thing I can just tell how much fats you're eating using butter. So your fridge can tell more about you rather than you telling about to nutritionist or dietitian. So suppose you're going out and you get a pop-up on your phone that eggs are over, please buy, or butter is over, please buy. That will be awesome, right? That is the power of IoT. Suppose you have a rice in your kitchen somewhere, put in a weighing scale automatically, which is connected to internet. If rice goes below 2 kg, you will get alert, and automatically rice will be getting added into your shopping list. So that kind of IoT in kitchen, IoT in home is possible. I'm at office. I'm leaving office at 6 o'clock, reaching at 6:30. My system knows this pattern. Okay, GPS is tracking me. IoT is tracking me. So as soon as I start my office and come to here, some AC will be kept on or some heater will be kept on, so that as soon as I come, I'll get my room temperature totally controlled when I am reaching my home. So various IoT platforms are there. As I told you, Amazon Web Services, AT&T, IBM, Microsoft. Okay, Telit. So all these companies are giving you a cloud connectivity, a platform connectivity, a app connectivity, which you can integrate with your application, make application using these of the services, these of the platform, and make your company or industry or college or your life or your home more smart. So one of such platform which we are going to discuss today in our IoT lecture is ThinkSpeak. So basically, MathWorks is a company which made ThinkSpeak. Same company made MATLAB also. I think all of you have used MATLAB at some level, maybe at beginner to expert level. So MATLAB is a very beautiful software. And what MATLAB can do? So it can generate lot of good plot. It can process data. It can analyze data. You can run different algorithm on MATLAB to process data and remove noise and all things you can do. Correct? So suppose you have IoT data and you mix the power of MATLAB to process it. So what will happen? You can get a better visualization and integration of a system which gives a smooth interaction of IoT data and the visualization. So ThinkSpeak is basically a IoT platform which aggregation is collection of data, help in visualization and analyze the live stream of data. Not only that, whatever data is analyzed, whatever data is visualized, it can be also acted upon. Maybe using the Twitter, you can send one tweet that your fire is there at your home, or your gas is open, or some lights are open, but you want to close. Okay, lights are on, you want to close. So all those things can be done properly with the ThinkSpeak. So today we'll see how ThinkSpeak is going to help us in our demo. So collect the data from sensors. Point number one: instant, immediate graph-based visualization. Suppose you want to write a code in graph in HTML or Python or something, you will take a lot of lines to do. Here it is ready-made. Okay, and it is free also. So lakhs and lakhs of users have sent their data if you see their channels. Okay. And it can be integrated with MATLAB. Also, it can be integrated with Twitter to send the tweets. Now, when everything is connected, see, my car is connected, my fridge is connected, my lights, my AC, everything is connected, then there's a problem of security also. So if you have some kind of hardware which is making your credential of the Wi-Fi connectivity open, then you have a hard-coded credential or maybe a default OB credentials are used in that system. So somebody can hack. Okay. Suppose a device is making a Wi-Fi name as IoT and password is password is default password is your what we can say IoT 123. Like that kind of things are there. People can hack easily. Now, when a IoT device, some software change is required. Okay, it's difficult to update the firmware and OS in those kind of hardware because they are very small and they may not have that upgrade facility. Newer hardware like car kind of thing can have upgrade facility. The phone is a bigger thing it can have, but small like a shoe, like a weighing scale, okay, like a glass, eyeglass, it may not have that much capability to upgrade. Okay, you may have to give to vendor and he will change. Then vendor support is also poor because very less vendors are there which are working in IoT field. Then spoofing, phishing, all this very easily possible. And hackers are now currently IoT is very easily hackable because many of the devices are not following the security standards. Coding error, you are writing a code of 8-bit integer and your data is increasing, it overflows and it goes beyond 300. Means never, your system will never be able to take it. Why this is happening? Because IoT devices are very cheap and very small, and their memory is also very less. So coding, if you're not doing proper coding, it may happen. Coding errors may happen, and buffer overflows can happen. And clear text protocol and unnecessary open port. So in today's demo also, I will show we are going to use this only. So because I'm not a security expert, so some security experts are there which will try to remove this problem. But today I will just use clear text protocol and I'll just use a port number 80, which is a common port. Okay. Physical threat and tampering. See, suppose my street light is having a IoT system. Somebody can steal the street light and try to reverse engineer it and find what is the password and how to use it. Okay. So all those things can be done because they will get free internet because it is connected to internet. It is sending data. Means I can also send data. So maybe not a high speed internet which can be used for YouTube buffering and outing, but okay, at least WhatsApp will work very easily with low speed internet. Okay. So why IoT? So first is you are generating a lot of information. So we need a collection system and processing system of the acquired information to make a better decision. If you want to make something smarter, okay, so you have to give power for brain. Okay. And giving brain to a shoe, a small glass, a gate is not so simple. So brain can be in the cloud. You just send and give connected to cloud. So cloud will tell what to do, whether to gate to be open, whether to light to be on or off, light to be dimmed or not. So based on the cloud, it will take decision. But data connectivity and control should be done via internet, via IoT protocol. Okay. As Gartner has told that Internet of Thing will be crossing 26 billion devices. Already it has crossed almost 30 billion devices. It has reached now. So, so this is the basics of IoT theory. Now let us start the practical session. Before starting practical session, let me give you introduction of two hardwares. One is IoT hardware, which is ESP8266 or Node MCU, and second is your Arduino. So as you all might have seen, if you're not used also, you all might have seen this device called Arduino. So in my hardware screen also you can see the Arduino which I am holding now. This Arduino is Arduino Uno R3 Fusion 3. Okay. See, Arduino is not a chip. First of all, we have to understand that Arduino is a platform. Arduino is a board, not the chip. Chip is Atmega from Atmel company. Basically, it is Atmega 328 or 128 based on your what type of Arduino you're using. Now, this chip is having a small boot program which is connected to USB. So whenever you are connecting Arduino IDE via computer or laptop and load the program, that bootloader will write the program in the upper memory. and lower memory is never touched because it is a bootloader, like a OS. Okay. What is the advantage of Arduino? Arduino was mainly developed for undergraduates. Okay, not like MTech or PhD students. It was mainly developed for undergraduates, like from 10th standard to BTech pass outs, hobbyists and engineers to learn and programming, sensor interfacing, and do it yourself kind of development. Later on, it became so and so famous, so easily interfaced, so many libraries came, so many interfacing domains were there, and so many free sites and free information is there on Arduino. Everybody started, even the PhD student, even the MTech, even the industries also started using the Arduino. Nowadays, the thing is like that many industries are using Arduino also for making their prototypes. See, finally, they may not use Arduino because it will not be cost effective. It may not be that much robust, that much reliable. But for making the minimum viable product, MVP, or making a prototype, proof of concept module, they'll be definitely using Arduino because it's a very fast product development system. So if you see this Arduino, this small, use this. If I use annotation, the problem is I cannot change slide. Okay. So if you okay. So if you see this chip, this is basically a Atmega chip which is connecting USB to your actual Arduino chip, or you can say actual Atmega chip, actual programmable chip via TXRX line, which is nothing but UART line. Same TXRX line is connected to pin number 0, which is RX pin number 1, which is TX pin. So please see the pin diagram here and try to identify pin number 0, which is the RX pin, and TX, which is the pin number 1, transmitter pin. These two are the most commonly used pin for many of the interfacing devices. Then you got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 13 pins. These are all are digital IOs. So you can write 0 or you can write 1, make it on or off. You can read 0 or read 1. Apart from that, few pins like pin number, whichever pin has having this S sign, or you can say sine wave sign. So this pin number 3, 5, and 6 are PWM pin. Basically, it is a cheap alternative for DAC. See, DAC is a digital to analog converter. It can give you voltage change from 0 volt to 5 volt in steps of whatever resolution is. But DACs are costlier. PWM is cheaper because it's just on off, 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 and duty cycle of the on off can be controlled. For example, if your light is LED is on, it is 100% on, you'll get the maximum brightness. But if I make it blink, so fast blinking that you cannot see it is making on off. But I'm blinking it, I'm making it on off at maybe 1,000 times in a second. Anything will be happening 20 times in a second, more than that, you cannot see it. For example, my hand, I'm waving. You can see my hand is waving. But if I do too much, okay, you will not able to see. You will see one blur square box. Same thing happens with the fan also. If fan is moving, whether it is having 3 wings or 4 wings, okay, you cannot tell because it is moving so fast, more than 20 or 30 times RPM. Okay, actually hundreds of RPM. So anything which is happening more than 20 times, your eye cannot sense it. This is called persistence of vision. Now what is happening? If LED I am blinking very fast, only you can see it is dimming or it is bright. And the level of dimming I can control with the help of how much duration I can make it on and how much duration I'm making off. That is called duty cycling. So 20% on, 80% off. So 0.02 millisecond on, zero point 0.8 millisecond off. So like that is happening. Total is 120 and 80 is the on period and off period. So like that duty cycle is made and this LED can be made on off and intensity can be controlled without DAC. So my main point was without DAC using PWM I can control motor, I can control LED intensities or motor speeds. That was the idea. Okay. Or if I'm heating something, that also I can control the temperature also using PWM. Okay. Now here are the power pins: 3.3 volt, 5 volt, ground, and VIN. VIN is what? What you give from USB or what you give from this adapter. Now, some devices work at 3.3 volt, some devices work at 5 volt. So when you're connecting some sensors like this, so if you can see here, here is the sensor, correct? So this sensor is a DHT11 sensor. It is two in one. Measures humidity also, it measures temperature also. So when you're connecting some sensors, okay, some sensors require 3.3 volts, some sensors require 5 volts. So you have to be careful. A0 to A5. So starting from 0 to 5, 6 pins. They are analog input. So basically this is having inbuilt ADC. So any sensor which is having analog output like temperature sensor or light sensor, that can be converted to digital number. Now this analog sensor is basically 10 bit. So 10 bit means 2 to 10. Means 1024 levels are possible to quantization of any analog signal. Okay. Now, as I told, 14 digital I/O, 6 analog input, 6 PWM pin, USB serial communication is there, 16 megahertz of the clock speed is there, 32 KB of flash memory is there, 2 KB of RAM is there, 1 KB of EEPROM is there. Lots and lots of library is there, and very simple to use IDE. So this is just same thing in a detailed manner. This is the IDE which we can be used for Arduino. So it has two things. One is a button bar, menu bar, status bar, and program notification. Whenever you do compiling, any errors are there, or you're uploading the program, it comes here in the status bar. You write the program here. See, IDE gives you syntax highlighting. What do you mean of syntax highlighting? See, high is shown in blue color. Okay. So, okay. This high is shown in blue color. Output is shown in blue color. Pin mode is shown in some orange color. So what is the meaning of this? Whenever you write any function, any variables, or any data types, the colors are defined, and you can understand you are writing a correct thing, and that is called syntax highlighting. So this is basically the IDE. Here you have an option for opening the file, closing the file. Here one button is there for verifying the code. Even if you don't have Arduino, you can always verify the code using verify button. Then upload button is used for uploading the code. Okay, save and rename, everything is there. Okay. So any program of Arduino has two functions. So that only I was talking in previous slide also. These two things are setup and loop. Microcontroller always run in an infinite loop. Okay. If you're using ARM or 8051 or Arduino, what they're doing is you have an infinite while loop, like while one, or like this void loop. So basically, it is running infinitely. Read sensor, send sensor data. Read sensor data, send sensor data. Read sensor, control the motor. Read sensor, control the heater, whatever. So that is happening in the loop. What happens in setup? At boot up, you want to configure some IO. You want to configure the serial communication. Like I want to communicate at 960 baud rate. I want to communicate at like different baud rate, 4800 baud rate. So all these things are done with the help of only setup at the beginning, which is running only once at the boot up. Like your OS is booting something, it will be doing like file management. So here we do peripheral management. Here we do IO management. Here we do initial setup or initial variable initiation. Okay. So it's very simple. You write the code, you compile the code, you upload the code using the right arrow button. Whenever you are uploading the code, there is a LED here. The LED is basically TXRX LED on the Arduino here. These two white color. So it's written there also TXRX. So they are blinking. If both are blinking, means program is in uploading process. Once program is loaded, and suppose the most basic programming in microcontroller is blink the LED. So if your LED is blinking properly with a proper rate, proper rhythm, then your program is correct, and your full process of writing program and uploading was correct. Now we'll see one by one basic Arduino functions which we'll be using today. First function is, okay, let me use the highlighter. Okay, so first function is pin mode. Okay, pin mode means to tell the IO pin name or pin number, both you can use, whether it is output or whether it is input. So I can use any pin as an input or output. So input also, input pull up I am enabling. What is the meaning of input pull up? Internal resistance is there, which is connected to VCC. So floating pins are not there. If nothing is connected to pin, always the pin will be at default state of 1. If outside some sensor is connected, sensor is writing 5 volt, so 1. Sensor is writing 0, so 0. Ground. So that is a pin mode. Now digital write. If pin mode is output, then only you can write. Okay, so you can write high or low to any pin. Digital read is for reading the pin. So BT variable is nothing but a pin number 4 I have defined. You can see in below constant 8 PT1. So I'm reading the pin number 4. If it gives 1, means pin is high. If it gives 0, pin is grounded or pin is low. So this is the way you can, instead of LD1, BT1, I can write pin number 5, pin number 7 also. But that is not a good way of programming. Always convert the pin numbers to pin names so that you know where it is connected. Now coming to serial. So this was just IO. Input and output. Output using digital write, input using digital read. Now serial.begin. So any device, GPS, GSM, Zigbee, RFID, Bluetooth, IoT modules, Wi-Fi modules, all these devices are using serial interface or UART interface, Universal Asynchronous Receiver Transmission. Asynchronous, it is not a synchronous. Why? Clock is not there, only data lines are there. Okay, so system 1 to system 2, I got one line of data. Okay, now how they will communicate? How I'll come to know which is start bit, which is stop bit. So what they have done is, okay, so system 1 will tell system 2, I'm going to send at one constant speed, pre-decided speed, which both of them know. Okay, I'm going to send at 9600 or 1152000. So the data rates is pre-decided so that synchronization is maintained. And then there's a, instead of 8 bit, I'm going to send 10 bits. Why 10 bits? To give start bit as a separate symbol and stop bit as a separate symbol. So start bit, stop bit is a separate symbol. Plus I have a pre-decided speeds. So without clock also, I can still communicate at a speed. But the disadvantage of this scheme is you cannot go for Mbps kind of high speed. Only few hundred kbps is the maximum data rate you can achieve in the serial communication. How to send data using serially? Two functions: serial.print, serial.write. These two are used. Serial.write, only one byte you can write. Serial.print, you can write a string or multiple data at a time. Print ln and print, what is difference? Only after print ln, one new line will be given /n. Now, for reading the data, you got serial.read. Okay, so you can read a string or you can read a byte. Serial available will tell that data is available or not. If output of this is 0, there is no data in buffer. If output of this is non-zero, means some data is there in the buffer, you can read it. So whenever serial communication is happening, data is going to a serial buffer. And whenever you write a data, it goes to also a buffer. So that is the buffer, because serial communication is slower. So in between buffer has to be added. Similarly, instead of serial, you want to have analog write and analog read. So analog read function is used, any analog pin, and analog write can be used to any analog output pin. Now again, this analog output pin should be PWM pin only. So these are the all the basic functions which Arduino uses for communication to outside world. Okay. Okay. So this is the end of Arduino basics. So let me do one or two practicals on Arduino. Okay, then we'll go for ESP8266. So what I'm going to do is this USB I'm going to connect to my system. Okay, so now this Arduino power light is on, which says this Arduino hardware is okay. Okay, then let me start Arduino IDE. Okay, so file, new. Okay. So I hope you can see my Arduino screen. If nothing is visible, some problem is there, immediately you will interrupt me. Okay. So as I told you, void setup and void loop. So these two are the function. So this is a program, basic program. In example, basic blink. Okay. What it says? LED built-in. It says like LED built-in is there, and in setup pin mode output. So built-in LED is pin number 13 basically. Okay. So instead of built-in, I can make it pin number 13 also. It will work. I can rename it to some other variable like LED1, as we have shown in our slides also, how to rename. Like this. Also, you can rename. Okay. So instead of like this, I can write LED pin also. Okay. So various ways are there to access a pin with their default names, with your given name, like I have given here name. Okay. Or with the directly pin number like this. Anything is okay. So first pin mode output. This is setup. Setup is over now. Now next thing is, see, this program is very small, so setup is small. Program is bigger means setup will be bigger. Okay. Now void loop. Simple thing. Make LED high. Wait. Make LED low. Wait. Okay. So currently, if you see, this LED is always on. Okay. It's not blinking. So once I upload this program, I click on upload. Now TXRX will blink. That means programming is going on. Okay. Now our LED is started blinking on and off. Okay. Now this blinking is 1 second on, 1 second off. So I can make it faster. So 200 millisecond on, 200 millisecond off, and then load it. See, it is faster now. Okay. So this was one thing. Now what we'll try to do is, I'll try to directly jump to one sensor. Okay, because we have less time, and this is not Arduino class. This is more of an IoT. So let me connect one sensor called DHT. Okay, so this DHT sensor, basically, it is a 2-in-1 sensor, DHT11. It is temperature and
Hello,
moisture,
sir.
both. Yeah,
Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
You are on mute, sir. Your
Oh,
voice we cannot hear.
okay. Now it is okay. Now it is okay.
Yeah, sir, we can able to hear. I think they have some problem on their end.
Okay, okay. So any problem is there, you please interrupt me. No problem. So DHT11 is a sensor which is both temperature and moisture 2-in-1, but it is communicated serially. Okay. Special serial communication, not our UART communication. It is a one-wire serial communication. So there is a library. As I told you, Arduino is very easy to use because you don't have to write for many things code. You can simply use library. So DHT11 library I'm using, DHT.h. I define the pin number 2 as a DHT sensor pin. Then I have defined the object DHT object. In setup, what I'll do, because sensor data I'll read using one wire communication, but where I'll print, I don't have any monitor with Arduino. So I'll be using my laptop or desktop monitor, and in that monitor I'll be printing the data. How I'll print on the desktop monitor using Arduino? Via serial communication. I will send data serially via USB mode. Okay, and computer, what it will do, it will read the serial packets from USB, convert into serial packets of UART, and then it will show me in a serial terminal. Okay, so basically internally software will take care for conversion from USB to serial and serial to USB, whereas in computer I will feel as the serial data is coming. In Arduino, I will send the serial data only. In between, there is a bridge which is converting USB to serial and serial to USB. Okay, but for me it is a basic serial communication. So serial dot begin at what speed? 9600. This is most common speed used worldwide. Then let's have a 2-second delay. Let system get settled, and then serial dot print some message like welcome message, hello, this is Nikhil, or whatever you want to print. Then 1-second delay. This is end of setup. Now what is happening loop? Read the sensor using the sensor pin, print the value of humidity, print the value of temperature. So I'm serial.print I'm using for sending data to computer. Serial.print, serial.print, serial.print. Last is serial.print ln for a new line generation. Then 3-second delay, and then keep on looping, looping, looping. This is an endless loop, reading sensor data again, 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 again. So I'll just load the program. So now program is getting compiled. After compiling, uploading, done uploading. So the uploading is over. Now 13% of memory I've used, okay, and only 14% of RAM I have used. So program memory 13%, RAM 14%. RAM is basically I have 2 KB of RAM and 32 KB of program memory in Arduino. Okay. Now tools, serial monitor. Now here message should be there. IoT workshop, temperature immunity 00. Why? Because sensor I have not connected. Okay, so now I connected sensor. 5 volt to 5 volt, ground to ground, and the data pin or the sensor output pin I need to connect to pin number 2. 0, 1, 2. 0, 1. Okay. Now you are getting humidity and temperature. Okay. So temperature is 25, humidity is 43. Okay. Now let me change the value. Various ways are there to. If I have a hair dryer, I can use it. Apparently, I don't know where it is. So what I'll do is I'll just blow it into it. So you can see now temperature has increased and humidity also has increased. Okay. Because of my mouth, I'll be having a lot of humidity in my mouth and temperature. Anyway, when you blow it like in different method, like this, okay, then it will be like hot. You're not like you're not doing like this. This will be cool air. But if you with wide open mouth you give, it will be little hotter. Okay. So again, because now my like vapors are stopped, so temperature is again going to normal. Humidity will take time because moisture particles may have settled on the sensor. It will take time to dry up. Okay. So this is the basic sensor connection and serial communication. Very importantly, how serial data is connected to computer and how we can see Arduino information on computer. See, this is the basically Arduino information which I'm able to see on computer using serial interface. Communication COM5 port. Okay. This is a virtual port actually, not a real port. So tools, COM port. This is basically a virtual port, not a real port. As I told you, it is a basically USB to serial and CL to USB. In Arduino, it is done by hardware, whereas in PC, it is done by a device driver, a software. Okay. Now I'll close this. Now I want to give you an introduction on the actual IoT hardware, which is nothing but ESP chip. So ESP comes under various versions. One of the version is Node MCU. I cannot show all today. Okay, I have all, but I cannot teach all today. I can show. Okay, so I can show them all one by one. So first, this one is Node MCU. This one is Node MCU. Okay, this is the biggest and complete solution with lot of pins and lot of interfaces and USB interface also. So this is very easy to use. You should have a USB to USB B type cable, and you should have on this Node MCU system. Okay, maybe around 550 rupees. Next is this small piece, very small. Okay, This one is ESP826601. Okay. So compared to Node MCU, it is almost 1/4 size and weight also very less because unnecessary USB connection and so many pins are not there. And this third one is again ESP module ESP05. Okay, it has onboard so many pins and extra power. Only it is lacking is it doesn't have USB. So cost is little less, around 450. So three different ESP modules here there. But today what we'll do is we'll do practical on Node MCU. Okay, because it has a USB direct interface. Okay. To use the other module, you can use USB to serial converters. That also I'll show you. These are USB to serial converters around around 150 to 200 rupees. It will come. Okay. So if your device doesn't have USB inbuilt USB converter, you can use this kind of converters, and you can make maximum use of the other system. See, USB is only required once when you do programming. Later on, if your application is standalone, like some light control or some sensor control, then everyday USB is not required. So why unnecessary to pay thing which is not required everyday basis? That was the main idea of that kind of systems. Okay. So now we'll understand what is the ESP8266. Arduino, when I have done poll, at least few member has told they know Arduino. But this ESP8266 is very new chip, not covered in many of the what we called projects. So few projects only will use ESP8266. So very few people will know this chip. Company called Espressif in 2014 designed this chip, okay, and made a revolution in the market of the IoT world, okay. And all the microcontroller enthusiasts like engineers, hobbyists, makers started using this chip to make Wi-Fi enabled devices or IoT enabled devices using this chip. Okay. This chip has very small form factor and a very cheap chip around 250 rupees only. That is also in PCB form. Only chip is there means you can get in 100 rupees only chip. Okay, so it is a highly integrated circuit. Why highly? Because it contains microcontroller also and Wi-Fi module also, RF also, RF transmitter receiver also. So everything which Wi-Fi requires, all these things are happening in this chip. Plus, it is having one extra microcontroller. Okay, to have some small application, not very big. Okay, so people use this chip in two ways. So suppose MSU 430 ARM processor or Arduino doesn't have IoT, doesn't have Wi-Fi. So you can use this kind of module along with them and offload all your Wi-Fi requirements to this chip. So like a co-processor. So it has a lot of GPIOs to communicate with the external world. It has I2C logics and ADCs also. So this is small form factor, which is very common, widely used. So you can see only VCC, ground, reset, GPIO 0, 2, only two GPIOs are there. So maybe some relay or some light you can sensor, you can sense, and some relay you can operate. And communication for communication, TX-RX pins are there. Okay. So it is 80 megahertz processor, 32-bit, 64 KB of RAM and 96 KB of RAM. These two RAMs are there, one for command and one for data. External memory like this can be connected, not can be connected, it's always connected to have a extra program running on this chip. This is the antenna. It's onboard PCB based antenna, 2.4 gigahertz. This chip doesn't have very large range like your hotspot of mobile or your Wi-Fi module, Wi-Fi modem, but it is having pretty good range, maybe around 30 to 40 feet very easily. Okay, and if it is open atmosphere, no walls and nothing, it can go up to 100 to 200 feet. So this is the block diagram of the chip. So this full blue part is the RF part, and full yellow part is your digital baseband part or digital part. So MAC is basically your TCP/IP protocol. Here is sitting here. Okay. Then you have digital baseband for modulation and demodulation. And here full RF transmitter and receive chain, and you have balloon circuit here. So transmission and switches there for single antenna for same transmission and reception. This is your clock generator. You are using a voltage control oscillator and PLL. You generate a clock. Okay, and then you have bias circuits for all the RF devices. You have inbuilt flash memory, and SRAM, which we have discussed earlier. And so many external interfaces are possible: I2C, PWM, ADC, UART. This is a command set. To communicate with the chip, control the chip, configure the chip, you need to use the AT command set. AT is attention. If you give AT, chip will reply, I'm there. Okay. Reset command mode. See, your Wi-Fi router is in which mode? Basically, it is the access point mode. You connect to Wi-Fi router. Whereas mobile phone is or laptop is in client mode. But when you make your mobile as a hotspot, suppose internet is not there, and you try to make your phone as a hotspot, then it is a which mode? Access point mode. So this chip, so small chip, you can use in any mode. Normally, my preferred mode is 3. Okay, client and access point both. Join access point. So you use password, username, and join the network. SIP start, communication to be started with the cloud. Send data. How much data you want to send? You will tell you want to send 100 bytes or you want to send 50 bytes. Okay. So you have to tell before only how much length of data you are going to send, and then SIP send. After SIP send, you have this data, and after every data, after every command, it is compulsory to use CRLF. What is CRLF? Carriage return and line feed. Basically, a new line character which tell this string is terminated now or this line is terminated now. So SIP marks how many connections you are making, and ping command just to check whether connectivity to that IP is there or not. So all these commands are there. We'll be exercising this command in my practical on Node MCU or ESP8266. Okay. So let us ping to the knowledge of IoT, and we'll see what is the response of ping command coming. I hope ping is a term when you open the command prompt and you want to try the ping. See, I'll show you now. So if you open the command prompt like this, okay, this is your command prompt of DOS in the Windows. Ping www.google.com. Okay, so this TTL in the time will tell me how fast my internet connection is and how fast this website is. So if you see some small website of some small establishment, okay, let me see one. This website I'll show. We'll try to ping this website. Okay. www dot ping this website. Okay. The request amount is coming. Correct. So you will come to know whether the website is properly working or not, is up or not, is fast enough or not. Okay. Now coming to our Node MCU. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use software called Hercules, which is free software for serial communication. So it is having TCP, UDP serial. So COM4 11500 setup, 8 byte of size of data, open. See error. Why? Because I have not connected. Okay. So now I'll connect. Let me connect. And then give open. See now open. As soon as I got this message from the device. So let us try to see simple commands one by one. We'll see. Okay. It got connected automatically because I have tried this device many times at my home. So it remembers the password and username. So it is connected. So if I try to do directly ping, AT plus ping equal to www.google.com. So what the end should be always CRLF. Okay, some error is there. Why error is there? Because sometimes this USB is not reliable. So many USB devices connected parallelly, so sometimes it will not work. See, now it is open. Okay. Let us wait. Let it boot. It will boot for some time. Okay, now we'll try this. See, error. Okay, now let me try only basic command. First command is basic command. See, OK has come. Next command is what? The mode. We have to tell which mode we are going to use this Wi-Fi module. I'm going to use in both access point mode and client mode. So now this is done. What is the next step? I'll try to see what are the Wi-Fi available near me. So the command is LAP. What is the LAP? Access points. Access. Icona, Aurora, that is mine. Okay, so like that, signal strength also shown. This is stronger, this is weaker. Okay, because this is at my home, this is at the neighbor's home. If I give again, still same because no new Wi-Fi found. Okay, so now I want to join this. Okay, so what I can do is join access point. What is the command? Join access point, username, password, CRLF. Enter. So first it will disconnect from the existing Wi-Fi, connect to the my new Wi-Fi. Okay, and got the Wi-Fi. Okay, now I can go for ping. After connecting to Wi-Fi, now I can go for ping. Timeout. Okay, 13 milliseconds it took to go to Google server and come back. Again, 13. Again, 12. Okay, better. So it is a dynamic number which keeps on changing. Sorry. Now, what we'll do is, I'll just, before going to really go to the hardware of the Arduino and connecting this Arduino and Node MCU, what we'll do is, first we'll try to build a website or the cloud, not website is already there. We'll try to make our own cloud login in ThingSpeak. Okay, so what ThingSpeak is a free website. All of you, if not parallelly, maybe after class you can do it, okay, because we are running a little late. Okay, so I have login here already. So this is login is already done. So you can log out or you can make a new account. Once you make a new account, like how you create account on any regular site, same way you can create a new account. It's totally free of cost. Go to channels.
Sir,
Go to my channels. Yes.
so can we log the data of any sensor into a file using this?
See, you can get the sensor data into file. I'll show you just now. You can get into Excel also very easily or text file. I'll give demonstration now. Okay. So
Okay.
there's so many my channels are there. So I'll create a new channel now in front of you, so you can also do it. So new channel. I'll give IoT, IEEE, WI test, or I'll put healthcare. Healthcare. Okay. Description you put something. Today's date we can put 26 June. Okay. 21. Okay. Field label 1, I can put PID, patient ID. Field number 2, I can put his temperature. Field number 3, I can put his blood pressure, or I can say heart rate, pulse rate. Okay. Pulse rate. Field number 4, I can put his oxygen level. Oxygen level. Okay. So 4 fields are there. What else? So many things we can measure. Okay. Metadata, tags. Tags is like IoT, comma, healthcare. This is for searching. IEEE, WI. This is for like in YouTube or in some website you will give tags for easy search. Hashtag in Instagram post. Same thing here also. Okay. Now this channel is public or private, all things you can set. So 1, 2, 3, 4 fields. Okay, then I'll just hit the save channel. Okay, so immediately channel got saved. I got 4 graphs, field 1, field 2, field 3, field 4. Okay, 4 graphs are there. This is private view, which I can see. This channel is not public. So go to channel setting. Sorry, go to sharing. Share channel with everyone. Okay. Now go to public view. Now it is visible. Okay. But no data is there currently. Entry is 0. Created so many time ago. And these are the API keys. Like a password. Like a chavi. Like a key. Password. So reading anybody can do if I give this, but they cannot write into my cloud. But I give this key, right key, then they can edit my cloud. They can not edit, basically they can add up data into my cloud. So this is my write key, this is my read key. Okay, and this is the strings which you can use for sending data to the cloud, right channel feed, field channel feed, like this. Okay, so what we'll do is, this key is very important. I'll just copy this key. Okay, go to here. So this is the key which I created now. So what are the values? Patient ID, comma, temperature, comma, heart rate, comma, oxygen level. Right? These are the 4 fields. So what is my channel number? Public view, I'll click, and this is my channel number. So I'll copy this channel number here. I'll give all this information in the chat window, so you can also see parallelly with me. Chat. Chat is here to everyone. Okay, I've given the channel number for all. I hope all got the channel number. You can click on this and you can see how this channel is looking now without data. Okay, then I'll give you a few more details. Okay, how to update the site? That is the next thing. So how to update site? So this key. So API.thingspeak is the site. Update is the method. Update is the method. After question 1 is all data fields. So API key. What is the key? This is my key, which I have to replace with my key. So my key I have used here now. Field 1 is patient ID. Suppose patient number 21. Field 2 is temperature. Suppose temperature is, if you want to write in Fahrenheit, okay, his temperature is 98. Okay. HR is heart rate. Heartbeat is suppose 75. And this is used for, I'll just simply go to a new tab, enter in the address bar. This, can you see how I entered the full URL? So https api.thingspeak.com/update. This is the URL with the method update. API key, field 1 is patient ID 21, field 2 temperature in Fahrenheit I'm putting, or Celsius also you can put. Field 3 HR, heart rate. Field 9 is oxygen level. Now if I give enter, see here 1 has come. 1 means uploaded to internet. 1 byte or 1 entry, 1 field uploaded to internet. Now we'll come here, it will automatically update. See, 1 dot has come. Correct? Here also temperature, here oxygen level, and here pulse rate. Now what I'll do? I'll go back here. Okay. Patient ID I will change. Patient ID 11. His temperature is little more, 99. His heart rate also little more, 77. And his oxygen level is suppose little less, 97. He's not so bad also, not so good also. Enter. So 2. Now here we should get 2 dots. Wait, it will happen. Sometimes it will take 2 minutes, sometimes 1 minute, based on, because it's free, we cannot guarantee. So see, 21 patient was first patient, second patient is 11. So here also you can see 98 has become 99, 75 has become 77, 99 oxygen level has dropped to 97. Okay, now let us have a one patient which is having proper COVID problems or COVID symptoms. Okay, so what we'll do is, okay, fine. So what I want, patient number, suppose patient number 25, patient ID 25. Now his temperature is something like 103, and his heart rate is now around 89, and his oxygen level has dropped to 94. Okay, enter. So this is the entry 3. Now what I'll do is I'll copy this for chat. You can also edit field 1, field 2, field 3, field 4. Don't edit the API key, otherwise password will be wrong. It will not update the site. So you can also start giving the entries. See, now the patient ID is different, temperature is different. So all this data is coming as a graph. But I don't have any other visualization. So what I'll do is I'll try to add some kind of meter and some kind of widgets. So add widget. I want one gauge. Next. Name of widget is temperature. Temperature is which field? Field number 2. Minimum temperature I'll put 90. Maximum I'll put 110. Okay. More than 100 is the red zone. 100 to 110 is fully red zone. Tick interval. Okay. Okay. Tick interval let be 1. Okay. So you can see Fahrenheit F. Create. So now widget is created. I think somebody has given, so many students are giving values, temperatures. Field 2. Why is not increasing? Edit. Field 2 only, na? Minimum 90, maximum. Oh, display value range. Yeah, correct only. Now it is working. It was somewhere 100. So new data will come, it will update. Okay. Now next I'll add one more widget. Like if oxygen level is below, oxygen level is field number 4, it is lower than, it's less than how much? 96. Okay. So color should become red. Well, danger sign. Okay. Create. So now it is off. Now it is red also, because your oxygen level is 84. So 84 is very low. So that's why patient is red now. Okay. Temperature is also very high. Okay. 110. So it is, the meter is showing somewhere here in the red zone. Okay. Now one more widget we can add. The last widget. This is the value, numeric value. Field number 1 will add. This is basically ID. Patient ID. Create. So this is the patient ID 25. The latest data was of patient ID 25 here. So you can see now how beautiful like graphs are there. Okay. So now temperature is on 103, somewhere here it's still red. Okay. So like this is happening. So what we'll do is I'll give some value like oxygen level 100, temperature I'll give 99. Okay. And heart rate, okay, let heart rate, enter. If I give this, then this light should become off. Correct. Temperature 99. See, this light also is off. Okay. So all these are parameter, better parameter, and my patient is now in OK zone. So that way we can design our system, and like this widget, immediately widget I can make without any coding. That is the power of ThinkSpeak. Okay. Next comes how to do it with hardware. So what I'll do is now using this hardware, I'll try to Node MCU, I'll try to upload the numbers. Okay. So just now we have used somewhere here. Okay, this one. So first statement is SIP start the communication to ThingSpeak website. After that, SIP send. SIP send you have to tell specifically how many bytes you are sending, and then you have to send the bytes. Field 1, field 2, field 3. So which method is there? Update method, API key. My API key I have to replace with here. So if I give wrong API key, it will not update. Field 1 patient ID. Okay, I can put something like 51 patient ID, and his temperature, his values are there. And then this is not required. Only 4 fields are there. Last field was oxygen level, which is 99. Heart rate is little low. I can put it like 69. Okay, 79. This is what temperature. Temperature is too high. We'll make it 101. Okay. Now this is how much size of data. This number of characters are here. You can see in bottom. You can see in bottom here. Selected is 77. Okay. So where is that? 77 here. Yeah, sure. Okay, here. So what is the size? 77. 77 is a selected thing. How much plus I have to do? CRLF is 2. 77 plus 2 is 79. Okay. Now we'll see. So this is my data. So we'll go here. So this data I'll upload here and send 79. Okay. Control C, Control V. Okay. Now first is mux command. I want to make how many connections? I want to make only one connection. Okay. So Control V, mux. Mux is okay. Then SIP start communication with ThingSpeak site. Connected. Okay. Now I'm trying to send bytes. How many bytes? 79. Arrow key has come. Is ready to accept bytes. Now I'll send the bytes. So I've sent this data via, not via Google Chrome, correct? Not via address bar of the Google Chrome. Not via typing. Via command sending to Node MCU using a serial interfacing software. So now this data should go there. Okay. The 51 patient ID. Where is the website? Here. So this is 51 just now has come. This has come from where? This has come from my hardware. This Node MCU. This hardware. Okay. Okay. Now, what is the next step? Next step is connect this Node MCU to my Arduino, on which we have already connected this sensor of humidity and what is called humidity and temperature. Okay. So now time is there. Some time is there. So what we can do is we can open Arduino. Okay, I'll show you the complete program of plant. Okay. So things software serial. Why software serial? To communicate with the ThingSpeak module, sorry, IoT module, because my default RxTX is connected to laptop via desktop. Okay. So for debugging and for printing purpose. Okay. ThingSpeak contains my key, website name, and port number. My DHP pin is connected to A0. You can connect to any pin. RX pin 10, TX pin 11. Okay. Password, username. Then your okay. If you want to connect more sensor like moisture level, LDR, LED, motors, water is less or moisture is less, you can give water. Okay. So all those things are there. Connect Wi-Fi is function to connect the Wi-Fi initially, just one time. Send data happens every 30 seconds, sending data to the cloud. So moisture level, light level, all these are sensors are there connected. Okay. So pin mode, all the pins are input pin, motor pin is output pin. Motor pin, you have switch off the motor at beginning. Okay. We'll not concentrate on motor and other things. We'll just concentrate on temperature, humidity, and plant ID. Okay. Other thing we can send default. Serial begin. This is for your PC communication, whereas this is through IoT module. So 2 serial ports I'm opening, one for PC and one for IoT module. Okay. So just some welcome message I'm printing, and then function I'm calling for connect Wi-Fi. So this is basically setup function, happens only one. Plant ID we can change dynamically using making various print ground. In loop, this will happen infinitely. Measure the levels of light level and moisture. Display the plant ID moisture levels. Read the DHT as we have done in previous project or previous code. Print the humidity and temperature. After printing, call the function send data. Once send data is called, what it will happen? It will send to the ThinkSpeak website, and then there's a delay, 30-second or 15-second, whatever you want. And then motor is low, LED is low. And here the code was there, extra code which I have commented. If moisture level is low, make the pump on. Light sensor, sensor output will be from 0 to 123, but for me, light level is 0 to 10. Okay, so that kind of output calibration you can say, or scaling is done here in the code basically. So that is all not so important here today. Connect Wi-Fi function as we have seen, 80 commands, okay reply. CWD mode equal to 1 or 3, anything is okay. You can put here 3 also, it will also work. 1 also will work because both are client mode. Join access point, username, password, send data. What we were doing here, we were trying to make the key, the string. Same string will do sip send, sip start, and get data. This complete string with proper field 1, field 2, field 3 values. So first is my API key, then my field 1 with PID, field 2 with temperature, field 3 with humidity, field 4 with light level, field 5 with moisture level. All this will go. The first command is sip mux command. Then sip start command, as we have done here also. I'll go back. Sip start command. See, first what we give? First we give mux command. Then we give sip start command. Then sip send command. Then actual data. Then we got the reply. Correct? Same thing happen here. First mux, then start with the host name, the IP address or the website name, port number 80. Then you will get data 1 and data 2. Two parts are there. One is a fixed part, one is a variable part, because your field values will keep on changing. So sip send. How much bytes to send? Calculate the length. Plus add 2. Length of the data 1, length of data 2 plus 2. You send. And then actually send the data 1, then data 2. Okay. This one full string here, what you can see, this full string, I divided into two parts. First part is this much, and then second part is this much. And then after 4-second delay, just come out of the function. So this is the way send data and connect to Wi-Fi is working. So we'll dump this code to Arduino. I'll connect the Arduino and dump this code. And then dump. Compiling. Uploading. Then uploading. Tools, serial monitor. Now this node I will also connect here. See, it's coming fail. Temperature is this, humidity is this, moisture level, light level 3, because sensor is not connected, so random value is coming, plant ID is 3. But it is not going. But before connecting Node MCU, I want to show you the Excel site also, which I forgot before. So channel, my channels. Already this smart plant channel was created. Okay. API key 7V UE. I just want to cross verify. Same 7V UE, correct. API key is correct. So public view. Okay. Some data is there, 2 samples of some testing. I'll just clear it. So channel settings, clear the old data. I'll just clear channel. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Now public view. So this is that copy. I'm giving this in chat window now. So now I'll just give this new thing to you. Okay, you can see that it is empty. No data is there. Okay, entries are 0 because I'm not connected this mode node. Okay, and what are the fields going? Plant ID, temperature, humidity, light level, moisture, and then some widgets are there. Now the thing is, TX and RX has to be connected to TX RX and ground to be made common of two devices. So I need some wires. So this can be used for TX, this can be used for RX, and one can be used for ground. Okay. So, two devices should have common ground. So ground of this should go to ground of this. Where is the ground? Second page here, ground. Okay. So ground of this connected to ground of this. Then TXRX. So I will go back to the code. Okay. So which pin is TX and which pin is RX? RX pin is pin number 10, which goes to ESP8266 TX pin. So pin number 10, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Should go to TX pin. Where is the TX pin? The ground. Okay. Okay. And pin number 11 is the TX pin, which should go to his RX. So my mouth to his ear to my mouth. Okay, and his mouth to my ear. That is the connection. Now, where is our serial monitor? Now, fail should not come. Correct. So what I should do is I should restart. So I can press the reset button on the Arduino, or I can just close this and open again. Both will work. See, okay, done is coming now. Done. Earlier fail was coming. This has come fail, but it might have connected. Okay, done. Okay, done. Okay, done. Okay. So this 4830, all things should be uploaded to my website. I will see that website now. One sample should come. See, one dot has come here. Light level, plant idly, everything has come. Correct? Okay. We'll change this. What is temperature came? Around 25. What is humidity came? Around 48. Okay. Now in next time, see second also has come. Okay. Now see, now humidity has fallen down. Temperature is not changed. Light level has changed. Let us see one more sample. So see, sample automatically are coming. I'm not typing anywhere in the address bar, or I'm not typing anywhere in anywhere. It's automatically running. Every 15 seconds, one sample will keep on coming. See, this is green. Okay. See, one more sample has come. Temperature has increased now. Okay. Humidity also has increased. I hope now you have understood this complete demo of smart plant also. Okay. So same way, channel settings. We have created a smart plant, name, description, field we have defined, and then at the end we have given sales channels. And then go to API keys, note down this key, note down the method here as I already have shown to you also. So that is the method to give via address bar using HTTP, put method and post method. Whereas when we do using Arduino and this, we use the get method. So this is get is the command in HTTP protocol. So this is the end of demo and end of our workshop. If any questions are, one question was there, na, that file, data export import, you go, okay, and then you download the file, correct? So where is it download all of the channel feed in CSV format. Okay, so click on download and then save. Okay, public view also you can go and you can export recent data. Okay, So what in which format you want? I want CSV format. Which field you want? All field means click here. Only one field you want, suppose only want, click here. So I'll just click here. Okay, so this also I'll save. And that health also I will go our channel of health. See now temperature automatically coming down. Humidity now is settled here. Temperature is again coming down very fast. Okay. Now I'll go to my channels. I'll go to that test WI healthcare channel we made. I'll go to public view. Okay, export recent data and then download. Okay, so there's a also method also to write and read data also in by a command also. Now we'll try to open this file which I downloaded just now. Okay, so just open it, right click. You can open in the Excel also. You can open in any notepad also. See, full data is there. So this is our IDs of patients. It's 21, 11, 25. Okay, 51 was the which I have sent. Then second field is basically his temperature, heart rate, and oxygen level. So this is the information with time. So time, sample number or row and row number. So row number simple entry number, then patient ID, then your heart rate, then your temperature in Fahrenheit, heart rate, and oxygen level. Okay. Now we'll see plant data. Plant data. So entry number, plant ID 333 not changing at all. Then this was the humidity or temperature, humidity. So in between increase which because of my blowing, and this is light levels and moisture level. Sensors are not connected, so we cannot use these values. Okay. So plant ID, suppose I want to change dynamically. In my code, I have written some pin. If you ground, plant ID will change. So constantly plant ID is 3. So if I go back to my code, plant ID changing pin is pin number 678. Okay, but that happens only at boot up, not in between. So once I want to change the plant ID, I have to restart the Arduino. Okay, so I'll just show one demo. So pin number 678, any number you can just ground it. So I'm just grounding pin number 7, but I have to restart. So once you do restart, what will happen? It will again try to connect to internet, but already is connected, so error will come. Okay, done. Then temperature. See now plant ID is 7. So here 7 should come. Now plant ID got changed. Okay, so keep on coming 777 only. See 7. Okay, so 3 has become now 7. So without changing code also, I was able to change the plant ID just by some pin configuration. So that also is done in many places. So this end our complete demo. So we are lucky that we have completed the second smart plant part also. Okay, thank you very much.
So what is the latency of this?
Latency is in my control. So is in my code. What I have done is I have given there is a 15-second delay. So if I remove this delay line, the latency will be around whatever command load is coming, that much. So every 3 to 5 seconds I can send data.
So are there any limitations of this website? I mean, how many responses or something like that?
What? Please tell again.
So are there any limitations of this website? How many responses we can
This
get?
is the free website. So there are limitation on how speed you data send. So as you are asking about latency, so you cannot send data like in millisecond level. That is one latency. And you cannot send multi-bit volume of data. That is second limitation. And suppose you want to send SMS or some mail using this data, there is no API given for that. Okay, if you want to do it more better way, you have to use AWS, Amazon Web Services, or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud. They are more faster and they give more services. but they don't give this kind of resolution very easily. This temperature, this button, moisture level, they
We
don't give.
can do that using simple
Yes,
steps.
you can
If we
visualize
get the
the
JSON response, that's enough.
JSON is given. I'll just show you. JSON is somewhere here only. This is the JSON. Okay. This is JSON method to read and write, and also you can use. When you have more data, only 4-5 data is there, you can use post and get method. Whereas if you have more data like arrays together, then better go for JSON.
So there's one more question in the chat window. Can I read it out, sir?
Yes, yes.
It's from Dr. Raghavan. Why some doctors are reluctant to accept this theory in their practice?
Which theory?
I mean, the way you demonstrated that COVID-19, it was showing red.
As I told in one of my slides, there are two type of medical devices available in market. One is consumer grade, one is medical grade, or you can say pet, like doctor grade. So whatever heart rate my consumer grade is telling, whatever oxygen level my consumer grade is telling, okay, that will be with error of up to 20% also. So that's why doctors are reluctant to use this kind of devices. When slowly improvements are happening, once their accuracy is below 5% error, that time I think doctors have to accept this. Already in US, they're accepting. What they will do, some patients, they will connect one pacemaker or heartbeat sensor, okay, and they will leave them to go home. Home should take care. Any problem is there, doctor will get alert.
Yes, sir.
And for old
And-
people, they have made this fall sensor also. If old people were walking, they fall immediately. The location will be sent to the authorities.
Yes, sir. Any more questions from the participants? You can type in the chat window or you can unmute and even ask. Any questions from the participants? There are no questions, sir. But the method, the theory and the method of doing demo is simply superb. It is by Dr. Raghavan again.
Okay, thank you very much. Because this
Thank you so
COVID time,
much,
what we can do, we have to do like this only.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Supposed to
On
be done.
behalf of, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
No, I'm telling supposed to be done in front of students,
Yes.
and maybe like 4-5 students also has same error kit amount like with them. Like this, we used to do 2 years back.
Mm. Yes, sir. But during these pandemic times, I think this is the only option we have. Probably once all these things gets over, we can plan for a hands-on session in colleges, sir.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yes, sir. Okay. On behalf of Women in Engineering IEEE Bangalore section, I extend my heartfelt thanks to Ms. Nikhil Arora. Thanks for the wonderful session. And I think all the participants here have today learned the basics of how to start with Arduino, how to interface, and reading from the sensors and even ThinkSpeak. This 1.5 hour session was really very good. There are a lot of takeaways for the students. Thank you so much, sir. I think our chair is in the another meeting. So on behalf of her and behalf of IEEE Bangalore section Women in Engineering team, so I extend my heartfelt thanks again to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Only one thing I want to add to all
Yes,
the
sir.
students. The YP has started Mentor for You program. You may be aware of that. So some students, so many around 60 mentors have already enrolled. People like me, some are better than me. Okay. So what I'm telling is all the students which are want to help the project or any product or any startup, they can always join that mentor program in YP group. Thank you, everyone.
Sir, could you share more details about how to join so that I can share it with all the students here?
Sure, sure, sure. I'll share.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for joining.
Okay. Bye. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir.